welcome to the Giraffe Social Media Podcast. It's what social media managers are talking about. I'm Ellie, and today I'm joined by Katie and Chloe.
Hello.
Hi.
Coming up on this week's episode, we'll be discussing what we got up to last week when Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp went down, how to get out of your creative ruts, along with Snapchat's recent introduction of creator monetization tools. Stick around to the end of the show where we'll be answering some of your burning DMs. Before we kick things off, ladies, I thought that we should address the mass social media platform outage that happened last week. It really can only be described as a social media manager's worst nightmare. I am intrigued to know what you both got up to during this outage. Who wants to kick off?
I'll start. I was truly baffled when it first hit. I think it kind of started our afternoon, maybe 4 p.m. or something. And the really organized, amazing social media manager I am, I leave most of my client community management to the end of the day. So unfortunately, hopefully no clients are listening, I was unable to get that done due to the outages. And I tried to blame my boyfriend. Usually when he works from home as well, my Wi-Fi just can't handle the load. So I was yelling at him. I was like, get off the Wi-Fi. I need to get this done. And still nothing was loading. And yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. But to be honest, I didn't mind it. I went to the gym in the evening. I wasn't on my phone anyway. And it was kind of nice to you realize how often you're kind of reaching for your phone unnecessarily and just to scroll for no reason. So it's kind of nice to have a break from that, and any excuse to kind of take the piss out of Facebook, I think people are more than happy to do so.
Literally. TikTok were loving it as well because everyone was on their platform. But I saw too many videos on it.
Yes, excellent content came out of it, so even better.
Katie, what about you?
I mean, I'd like to say I was doing something productive with my time, going out and walking children in nature or something. But that was just not what was happening. TikTok and Twitter were still working, so I was just immediately sucked back in. I was mostly just annoyed that I'd posted on Instagram a minute before it went down. So I'm blaming myself. I had the power to break Instagram.
Did you get much engagement on your post?
I had to boost it so much in my story. I kept being like, hey guys, look at this thing. Oh, it was a nightmare.
But I was the same as Chloe. I left one client's community management to the last minute and I just went into panic mode. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Just went extra hard the following day. Just did double the amount. It's all good.
Yeah, we made up for it. It's fine. But obviously we weren't the only individuals affected by this. So I'd love to know what our listeners also got up to during this outage. So let us know. Okay, so moving on to our main segment of this week, we are going to be chatting about how to get out of your creative rut. I feel like throughout one's social media career, you are bound to experience at least one creative rut. It's almost inevitable, especially as social media managers. It can be super fun to strategize and come up with multiple ways to share content with your audience and clients, but it's also easy to get stuck in a creative rut since you're having to constantly come up with new and fresh ideas. So for today's episode, Katie, Chloe and I are going to be taking you through a couple of tips on how to tackle your creative rut. So one of the key things to note is that you can find inspiration in many places. Chloe, why don't you talk us through the best ways to find inspiration and get those creative juices flowing?
Totally, I'd love to. I am a massive kind of seeker of inspiration. I think especially when I'm starting new clients or working with someone in an industry that I don't typically it's a bit out of my comfort zone and a bit out of my realm of expertise. So I feel like the first and best platform that most people go to, it's not revolutionary, but Pinterest. basically, whenever I start a new client, even like regardless of if I'm familiar with the brand or with the product or the concept, I love to go to Pinterest and kind of search up example posts by other social media managers that kind of share their templates, so to speak, see how people in the industry as a whole are kind of conveying the messages and information for that brand. But also like looking up competitive posts. I think we used to work with a brand who sold and designed engagement rings. So obviously you've got massive brands like Tiffany's and Kuwait and just like a bunch of people who are posting, their ads on Pinterest. So it's great to kind of look on there and see what people are doing. And I think similarly to Pinterest, Facebook has a platform where you can go and you can search your competitors' ads that they're running. So it not only with organic posts, but the ad side of things, it's nice to kind of have a little snoop, act as a international super spy, as it were. That's kind of where I like to start my creative process if I'm stuck on ideas. But just some other platforms or areas I like to go into. I think platforms like Answer the Public are really useful. I think if you're like further down the line, like maybe you've been working with a client for 6 months and you just physically cannot bring any new ideas into fruition, going onto platforms like Answer the Public, you can search up your industry, your product, you just like insert keywords and it immediately shows you, the most popular, I think it's Google searches that your customer are kind of looking up. So that's great for like educational content. You can answer questions that no other brands have been answering. And that's a really great start to kind of refresh your ideas, as it were. I think TikTok, the introduction of TikTok has just been like a massive lifesaver, and maybe not in the conventional way for me personally. We do product photography here at Giraffe, and sometimes, some clients just don't have that exciting of a product, but you still need to think of a way to make it look really exciting and captivating. So there's a lot of creators on TikTok that kind of share photography hacks and like ways that you can like take your photography to the next level, even if you're just a beginner. So love that. And again, TikTok has like a bunch of creators who post like useful Canva hacks or design tips or like things you wouldn't know about creating posts. So love that, love TikTok. And then the final one is just like referring back to pop culture. And this is something that we do all the time on the podcast. I can recall us talking about Bernie Sanders at least 50 times and that revolutionary meme. So just like keeping an eye out for trends or memes that are kind of in the pop culture and that you can really easily jump on and kind of turn into a social media post. Particularly more recently, Drake's new album with the pregnant women emojis, and a lot of people adapted that. That was a personal favorite of mine from this year. So yeah, I mean, it's just like inspiration you can get from anywhere, but I think those kind of 4 pillars for me particularly always will get me out of a rut.
No, I couldn't agree more. I feel like Answer the Public is such an underrated platform. So yeah, it's definitely good to pinpoint and highlight to our listeners.
Yeah, it does the work for you. Like it literally tells you what to create a post about based off what your customers are asking anyway. So
literally, what more could you want, honestly?
Like what does it work smarter, not harder?
Yeah, exactly. Utilize what you've got around you and then just go from there. So I think that it's really important to see different ways to post content creatively on social media as well, like once you've got the inspiration, and to not be afraid to test various options to see what works or what doesn't work for your clients and your audience. So I often ask myself, what content should I be sharing on the different social media platforms? So Katie, why don't you tell us some of your top creative tips?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're stuck in a rut, this like might be the best time to like try and experiment with the type of content you're putting out and then like try something new. So like, I don't know, an example could be like if you normally post video content and you also have a blog, you can use the blog as inspiration for the video and include that copy in the video. So it's kind of like easy little baby steps into trying new content. And when you put that out, if it goes well, then you can carry on with it. And if it doesn't, then you've just filled the gap in the content schedule. Creating how-to content as well is just another really easy form of content that's also shareable as well. And you know how to do it, so why not show people how to do it? It's such an easy way to create stuff. And then as well, curating user-generated content is like such a brilliant way to get yourself out of a rut whilst also covering the time you're in a rut. So like if you're either resharing Instagram posts or retweeting on Twitter, like not only is this content that's been produced for you, it will help you fill the gaps of a creative block whilst generating engagement, and it might inspire content ideas that you just hadn't thought of yourself. So like, like Chloe was saying, when you've been working for a client for like 6 months and the idea well starts to dry up, like sometimes it's good to get that like outside input in the content you can produce. And then, like you guys were saying, it's so valuable to get like feedback from your audience to find out like what they would like to see as well. So, creating a poll or asking questions on your main feed, or like, story features have all of those options now, especially on Instagram. It's a great way to get it going.
Yeah. I think some social media managers are so like afraid to admit that maybe they're out of ideas, and so they won't go to their audience. But at the end of the day, I think your audience would much prefer that you ask for their opinion and they feel seen and valued than for you to like continuously put out content that maybe isn't resonating with them because your head's not in it. So I love that idea, Kate. I think throwing it out to your audience, you can kind of shield it a little bit and say, oh, hey, like on Friday, do you want to see this or do you want to see this? And you can kind of fake it till we make it, pretend you have an idea, and then see what they want to see more and kind of take it from there. So that's a brilliant hack.
Especially if like your client is like from an industry that you're really not familiar with at all. Like, we've had some clients that do like power tools. I don't know how power tools work. I live in a rented place. Like I've never had to use like an electric screwdriver. Like so it's just good to kind of find out from them like the type of content they want to see. And it's a really good way to lead you to stronger, like potentially lead you to stronger engagement as well, because if they like it, they're going to tell you.
Exactly. Listen to your audience. Massive.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Honestly, polls are my new favorite thing to add to a client's schedule. And I think they're a great addition to boost engagement and, like you guys are saying, get to know your audience and get exactly what they want as well. So yeah, really, really good points. So another great way to get out of a creative rut is to surround yourself with things that inspire you. So like you guys were saying, there's inspiration everywhere you look. And it's great to also be open to other ideas and not be stuck in that one mentality, which is very easy to kind of get into once you get into the rhythm of it. So if you work with a team, I think it would be really good to like brainstorm ideas with them. So for example, at Giraffe, we're really good at collaborating together. And if one of us is stuck, we'll go, hey team, like, can someone give us some ideas on this? Or do you have any new perspectives or spins that we can add on this? So that's definitely a really good tip that you should implement in your business or, for your clients. Secondly, even listening to social media podcasts, so like the one you're listening to now, it will provide you with new ideas and new tips to give you little insights into how to improve your social media marketing and to help you get out of a creative rut. So there you have it. There are just a few examples of ways to help you get out of a creative rut. But remember, there is creativity all around you. You just need to be open to seeing it and changing your strategy once in a while. So now it's time to dive into the top social media news story of the week. Snapchat has announced the introduction of a new creator monetization tools as a way of maximizing in-app engagement. For those of you who don't know, Snapchat has around 265 million active daily users worldwide. The app has had a 22% year-over-year increase from the 218 million daily active users from the previous year. Despite an increase in usage, Snapchat is still struggling to keep pace with the rising popularity of its main competitor, TikTok. So first off, I want to ask, do either of you use Snapchat? Or...
I think Snapchat has this stigma that it's kind of a tween app. So I can't say I've been an active user since leaving high school. I do occasionally. I think the only person I ever Snapchat is my boyfriend, and it's like, I don't know, if I see a seagull eating a chip, I'll like send him a picture of that and be like, oh lol. Like I don't use it. I don't know what streaks are. Well, I know what streaks are. I don't like do streaks with people. I don't use it in perhaps the way that Snapchat is intending and kind of pushing users to use it anymore. And I think part of that is because like just all the competing apps, just like Instagram, for example, does that, and then it has the added features of, you know, being an actual like social media platform. And then, do you know what I mean? I'm surprised to hear that TikTok is their biggest competitor. I would have thought maybe that it was Instagram, because Instagram has stories. But yeah, that was a long-winded way to say no, I don't use Snapchat.
Casey, what about you? Do you use Snapchat?
I'm kind of in a similar boat to Chloe. Like, I use it literally to talk to like maybe one to three friends. Like, it's not like my main form of communication. And like, to be honest, what I do mostly use it for is like like, is it called memories feature? I don't know, when like you save stuff into the app, because like quite often my boyfriend is just doing like something weird, so I'm just like filming him on Snapchat and then just like save it in that different like file, so I know like that I've got like, it's almost like a different archive of just like Ben in his natural habitat. But yeah, no, I don't tend to use it, and like I don't think a lot of people that I know do either, because like whenever I look at stories, there's probably like only about 2 or 3 people that I know that actually like religiously update their story anymore.
I think that's the other thing as well that maybe gives Instagram the edge among a long list of things, is that I'm not so much interested in what people I know are doing, which sounds very very aloof, but I am very interested in what the Kardashians are doing, to what like Chris Evans is doing. And like, I know you can, like, celebrities aren't really on Snapchat either. Like, I know they can be, but again, maybe they were when it first came out, but Instagram just completely dominated that space. So I think I'm more known to use stories because I can see what people who I aren't like personally connected to and see what they're up to, or even what influencers are up to, not even as far up as celebrities. So yeah, I think that's another thing that maybe Snapchat didn't really take advantage of early enough.
No,
things like the close friends story as well. Like, I'm pretty certain Instagram did that before like Snapchat even considered having like separate stories for separate groups of friends. So it was like, it was too late at that point for Snapchat to like use their stories as a comeback, I think.
I feel like what Snapchat are trying to do is mimic the creator tools that TikTok have. So obviously there's the big TikTok influencers. They're now trying to move that over to Snapchat to kind of boost people's engagement. So instead of people going onto their friends and seeing what their friends are doing, they want to turn it into what TikTok or Instagram are doing, and having like Snapchat influencers or, you know, Snapchat celebrities that they follow, in order to obviously boost engagement on the app. But do you think that's going to work? I mean, from your opinions already, I feel like you are both leaning towards no, but I just want to get your opinion.
It'll be interesting, won't it? Because like, what is the generation? Is there a generation below Gen Z? Because I can see that happening. I can see the people who are like 10, 11, 12 maybe becoming Snapchat influencers. But again, I just feel like that space is already dominated by TikTok, and that's where the zeitgeist is. And it's just too late, Snapchat. Like, you had everything there. You had the ideas in your hand, and you let the other platforms just take it from you.
You were the chosen one.
Yeah. And, you know, you may have been the creator kind of those ideas, but now it almost seems like you're piggybacking off the success of, do you know, like, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean completely. They are lagging behind, and it's almost like they see someone else do it, and then it takes them a few months for them to produce it themselves. So then it's already too late,
exactly.
And there's no point in jumping on that bandwagon because it's already passed. So I
like
completely get where you're coming from. Sorry.
Like Snapchat as a platform to me is always like a really confusing one. It feels like they're panicking as a platform because it feels like they throw everything at the wall just to see like if anything sticks, and I don't know how much actually is sticking. Like you said, like I think they're doing like mini series, but like you try and watch them and there's just like an ad every 3 seconds, and I just don't think like that's good enough to like hold the attention of people anymore. Like on TikTok, at least you can like scroll away from it like immediately, but like on Snapchat, sometimes you've got to wait like longer than the amount of time you've been watching to be able to skip the ad. I think that's going to be like their biggest downfall, that they can't quite like, they've tried too much and they haven't tried like to fine tune any of it.
I think it'll be really interesting to see how it develops as these creator tools are introduced. And see if the app engagement does increase or not. So I guess that'll be something to wait and see moving forward.
I'd love to be proven wrong about it, because like I love an underdog story. Like if Snapchat like manages to like rise from the ashes, I'll be like, yeah, go on.
No, completely. Today's direct message reads, I always love people's go-to ways to reset their brains or creativity. So ladies, I'm really interested to hear how you personally reset your creativity. Katie, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I mean, I always kind of joke that like as creative people, like I've never been relaxed a day in my life. Like I'm just like, my brain is just constantly coming up with ideas all the time. So like if I am so like sometimes I reach a point where there's like too many ideas than I can do anything with, and then I just can't do anything. So like I usually find that like when I reach that point, I'm probably close to a burnout, but like I tend to take a break as much as I can. And like during that break I'll like focus my energy into something else, but like because I'm still getting those creative ideas, I end up like we said, like brainstorming them with people, and like honestly, as soon as it hits like 5:30 and I can't message the team anymore, I immediately turn to my boyfriend and I'm just like, I have 17 ideas. What do you think? So like he's quite often just like my springboard for a lot of ideas. So I guess, you know, having someone you can bounce off of is the best way to kind of like get through that. But honestly, like avoiding creative burnout is just so difficult because, you know, it's part of what we do is just constantly creating content and trying to be creative forever. So yeah, it's just like trying to take the breaks when you can, but when you are like taking them, to make a note of any ideas you have, and then you kind of make a bank of like a load of ideas that you can use later on, you know, think of future you.
So what about you, Chloe?
Yeah, it's so like, I feel like the easy answer is to say take a break, and that is like what most of us do, is just like take a break. But obviously, you know, as social media managers, we don't really have the time. Like that's our job. We kind of need to be switched on all day, every day. So I guess something I do if I'm running out of creativity is like go and put myself in a situation or a place that is just, or have a conversation that is really, really, really boring.
Yes.
And that sounds so bad, and like it might not be, I don't know how to explain it, but if I kind of put myself in a situation where there is no room for me to be creative whatsoever, so whether that is having a boring conversation or going to a boring place or like, I don't know, anything kind of like that, it almost like triggers that creativity in you again, because you want what you can't have. So yeah, if taking a break doesn't work for me, because sometimes even while I'm on a break I'm kind of beating myself up that I don't have any ideas, go and put yourself in a situation where there is no room for creativity whatsoever, and then it kind of just comes to you. which I feel like is not the most helpful answer out there, but there really is no, like, there's no better way to reset the brain than, just
become as understimulated as possible.
Yeah, go sit in the black room, put headphones on, blindfold yourself, and just like go on one of those pods where it's just nothing but salt water and you just float in that for a while. And
secret social media tips.
Yeah, we've actually got one at the Giraffe office. No.
No, I couldn't agree more. I feel like each person will have a different way to reset their creativity, and I feel like you've both come up with some really, really great ideas, and definitely I think the key thing to take away is you need to like take a break and take a step back. So whether that's for 5 minutes or you go for a walk for an hour, I think it's just really important to kind of take yourself away from the screen. I'll confess that I am on my screen, whether that's my laptop or my phone, way too much, which definitely doesn't help when you're in a creative rut or a bit of a burnout. Thank you very much for your tips, ladies. So that was our top DMs for this week. Hopefully we answered your burning questions. If you'd like to be featured in next week's episode, then make sure you slide into our DMs on Instagram at GiraffeSM. Well, that's all we've got time for today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, or follow us if you're listening on Spotify. We'd love to hear what you thought about today's episode, so make sure you reach out on social media and let us know what you thought. We've been Giraffe Social Media, you've been amazing, and we'll see you next time.